Heyo, good people. Welcome back to another episode of My Good Place. This is your host, as always, Niraj, and today we continue the last week's discussion Women of Nepal, the boss ladies. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. There were a lot of different perspective, different material which should be very educational and also relevant in so many levels. I felt privilege being part of the discussion amongst those ladies, and they were sharing so much knowledge in that podcast. I learned so much how I can be a better advocate myself, being a heterosexual male. So this podcast is not just for women. This is for everybody who wants equality, who wants something better for everybody. So hope the first episode, the first part was great and you have come back for part 2. And if you're brand new to this podcast, just tuning in, this is the part 2 of the discussion. And so if you could go back and listen to the first part and come back for this one, that would be great because it will make more sense. And this part is really like towards the conclusion of the whole discussion we had. So we generally talk about how the ideal good place look like for these ladies, and I hope you guys enjoy the discussion that I have on this part. So again, without further ado, the panelist for you is Bipshika Bhandari, Sonika Manandar, Shreya Singh Dakal, Namal Limbu, and the hybrid of moderator and the panelist Akriti Maharjan. We are coming to a close. I know, very fast. So and since this podcast is called My Good Place, I'm gonna kind of tie this next question to my podcast. So I want to ask everybody. So, what does your ideal Nepali good place looks like? And this time I'm actually gonna start with Nama. So Nama, if you wanna take this question, and I'm gonna jump to the other panelists.
Oh, I was hoping you would come last to me because I want to think. Ideal good place. So are we talking about physical place?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So create a good place in your head where it's a good place for you, a good place for Nama.
I think a good place for me, a Nepali good place is I can be who I want to be without double guessing myself, without thinking, with expectations. So I can be who I want to be without me doubting myself of what if, what fear, what judgment am I going to get? So in that sense, I think a good place for me is where there is no man-made or social norms. So cut that out. If I identify myself as a woman and I want to wear blue and I want to play basketball and I can't cook, so be it. That's me. Why? Yeah. So none of those social female gender roles, any of that. So if that is me, that is a place the whole world could just accept it and not be judgmental, really. But yeah, that's my good place. Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna come to Bipshika next. What does your ideal Nepali good place look like for you?
Mm-hmm. Earlier, when you explained this question, you said just close your eyes and visualize in your head what it looks like. And I was like, oh, that's so sad for us to do. We have to really, create a make-believe world in our head for this. So my ideal good place is where we don't have to do that. Like when we don't have to imagine it and it actually is, and we're living in that reality, So yes, I'll leave it at that.
That's a proper mic drop. That was amazing. All right, Shreya, I'm gonna come to you next. What does your ideal good place look like?
to be very honest, like as much as I don't like a lot of things that, that we have that exist in our society, I also believe that all of this shaped me in a way. Like, I don't like them. I don't like how gender roles are. I don't like how, the general society is. But at the same time, these are, um, this brought me opportunities, like to really communicate with others, to understand others, like to really be in that space where I can really try to understand others. So, I want a lot of things to change in Nepal, definitely for women and for like other gender minorities. But I also like uh, a lot of how things are too. Um, because I came to the US from Nepal, right? So things are so different. And if I were to choose, there's so much of women movement and for like in that space in the US, and US is definitely ahead of Nepal in so many things like that in terms of communications. At least, people are talking. In Nepal, it's not even to that extent. But at the end of the day, I still like Nepal, like a lot of things in Nepal better. So I don't know, like I don't really like to think of an ideal world uh, like to exist, because one, that is impossible. To to really have that ideal place, that is impossible. uh, but I would say uh, the times when all of us are growing in some ways, definitely that is my I would say the Nepali good place, like where all of us are growing and all of us are like ready to learn new things and take up challenges in that sense. And yeah, I don't like how things definitely are, but I don't know, like I have a mixed feeling about it. I don't like it. But at the same time, like I don't entirely want it to there are things that I want to change, but I don't know, like I'm really confused with this answer myself. I don't know if I made myself clear. Uh, but yeah, that is pretty much about it. Sorry if I confused you all.
No, no, that's okay. It was a rather vague and it's a hypothetical question too, you know. So you did great. Thank you. Bipshika.
I'm sorry, I have to add to this because if I don't, I can't not add. That's why I'm adding to this. And I want to say to Shreya, like I do not want to overstep what you just said, and I do hear you, and I know what you're trying to say, and I do hear you. But I do want to add that this is not a hypothetical question. This cannot be just a hypothetical question. Like, we're talking about our real world, real lived experiences. We're living in a society with so much violence on all levels, and different women facing different sort of violences, in personal spaces, in political spaces, in public spaces. So I don't think we can just say that, I want some things to change, I don't want certain things to change. I don't think we can say that, because when you say that, I understand that you say it because some things have worked out for you. That's why you're saying that, because you've had this opportunity to go outside and you've enjoyed your privileges, and so have I. Like, because of my privileges, I was able to go to like universities and study and pursue education and have a family who really pushed for my education. But I cannot say that because it worked out for me, now I don't want this thing to change. And I think this is the passivity that really keeps us behind. It really says, this is good for me, and I don't care for the rest. It's I know you're not trying to say that, but then it gives us that vibe. And if we are talking about feminism, and if we're talking about this larger like inclusive movement of, and we're talking about what this space and what this world like should look like, I don't think we can say that some things change, some things don't. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to change, and I know I gave a very short answer and a witty, I thought, answer to the previous question. But I do now like to add that, no, like, you know, an ideal world, an ideal is like space, and I wouldn't say even ideal. What it should be, what the real space, you know, should be, is like for all of us to be empowered in our own skin, in our own bodies, for, you know, our voices and our needs to be represented in policies and in politics, for us to get justice when, you know, we've faced and been in these injustice, you know, circumstances, and really not have to, you know, like I said, like earlier, be this like fighter for everything. Like Akriti said earlier, this is basic human rights, you know, and this is not ideal. Like, this is really simply basic human rights. Like, this is not an ideal world. This is like a real world we're talking about. So yeah.
No, thank you. Shreya?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for like, saying that. Definitely like when questions like this come, I get really confused and I really don't know what to say. And that was my situation. I really agree with you in that sense that, you know, a lot of times we I and everybody like who's had enjoyed those privileges come from that space itself, right? Like a lot of times it really does take your privileges to be taken away from you to really realize, like what you really like, the change you want to see. And I definitely agree with you, and thank you for reminding me of that once again, because like I always say this, like as someone who's like brought up in a Brahmin family and from a like really, humble socioeconomic background, a lot of times I don't I don't really see, the needs to change a lot of things, and like you only like a lot of times it's very basic human nature, right? You only see the need to change something when things don't work in your favor, or something, like when you are in that marginalized community in some way. And yes, so thank you for reminding me of that. It's just that questions like this is like when you put me in a situation, in a spot where you talk about ideal society or something, I don't really have anything to say, because I don't like, as much as I want things to change for good and for us to be able to be in that point of a, where the society is ideal, everybody has that equal right to lead and all of that, I still like think that there's such a long way we need to cover, like such a long path that we need to take. I just don't like to think about it, and I tend to like, brush these questions off. But thank you for putting that out there, because it is important, and it's a good reminder.
Yeah, no, thank you, like Shreya, again, like for being so honest and like listening to me as well. And and it does, you're rightly saying that it comes from our privileges, and that is what we have to check. That is what we have to act on as well. And this is basically what the conversation, the debate on affirmation action, quota system is all about. The fight, the debate is always like 33% seat dekho cha, and you have 33% seats in the House of Parliament, you've had enough, this is for women. But it's not always like representative at all, and it's very tokenistic as well. And with things like affirmation action, it's like when we enjoy that privilege, like you also went to America, I also went to universities abroad and went on scholarships and had that opportunity to learn, but it was also because of my privileges that I got this opportunity. And I cannot say because it worked out for me, like I do not want somebody else to also benefit from the same. So the debate with affirmation action is just that if it works out for you, it's great. If it doesn't work out for like somebody else, and if it is working more for somebody else, that's when we say, oh, that's a bit problematic. But these are the conversations that we should be happy, we should happen like in public spaces as well. We should have among ourselves as well, in our families as well, and really unlearn where these biases are coming from. And if we and going back to my earlier answers, that it really has to seep into our everyday actions. It has to, like Neeraj was saying earlier, it has to start from home, but it also has to lead to a larger political conversation, representation, voice, leadership, etc. But yeah, thank you so much again for being so honest and listening as well.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna quickly come to Sonika and pose the same question and take it wherever you want to take it. Take that with what's your ideal good place, Nepali good place look like for you?
Wow, listening to the discussion, or I'm losing the names here, sorry about that. But Shreya and Vipshika, you touched upon, you worded it very beautifully earlier that, today we are talking about Nepali women, but definitely we are not the representation of the whole Nepali women, right? Again, going back to the talk of privileges and quota systems and stuff like that, I think I envision, for me, the good place would be the place where women or any human being really, they don't see the limitation to realize their true potential, right? And I think, for that, if you say in Nepali, sabai कुरा आएर पैसामा अड्किन्छ भन्छ नि हैन, so everything just comes down to finance, okay? And I think someone to always feel restricted about, if I don't follow the social norm, or if I don't really follow these cultural norms, then I have no security. I have nowhere to go, and that's really, really scary to think about, right? If I don't rely on my husband, or not just husband, right? If I don't have finance to be independent, or do whatever the business I like, or wherever the place I want to go, then that thought, it's really, really scary, and that's something really keeps you from realizing your own potential. Again, going back to quota system, in the micros, I use public transportation in Kathmandu, and there's a female seat quota system, right? But then I'm seated in the other seat, but the conductor or other men are like, there's your seat, go sit there. It's like, no, I don't need to sit there. Just because I'm female, that's not just the seat that I have, right? That's the very, very basic example that I'm giving. And basically what I'm trying to say is that if there's a quota for female, but then if I'm competitive enough, I know my capability, I will compete as a whole. Right, so that's something that I could realize. That's the potential that I could realize, and I envision that all the females, everyone, have that freedom to really realize what they can do, where they can reach, and I think that really comes down to having the financial freedom. If you have that, then you can. The sky is the limit, or the space is the limit to say that. Yeah, so that's something I want to add. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about this tokenism and this representation because, so I've heard somewhere, this is definitely not my idea, our parliament or our representative should represent how our society is. And in the country where our female or women population is, I think, 52 to 55%, and we're only given 33%, that's fucked up, ain't it? So that doesn't make sense. And also, this is a different discussion, but like we have this caste system in Nepal, and which is more fucked up on its own. So yeah, I'm but all I wanted to say is whatever we do, we should strive to represent the society that we come from, and try to be inclusive, and be more equitable, try to create this equitable society. So last but not the least, I'm going to quickly go to Bipshika and then come to Akriti for her ideal good place. Bipshika.
Sorry, again, just had another comment that, you said that we should try to be representative of the society, but that's the thing. We can't represent everybody, and we shouldn't even try to say that we represent, everybody, because all our lived experiences are different. How we see the world is different. I cannot be the voice for Sonika, because her experiences are different. But I'm not saying that only Sonika should be like speaking. If she doesn't speak, then she deserves to face injustice. I'm not trying to say that either. But then Sonika will and should represent like herself for sure. People who relate to what Sonika is saying will also, be in that space to do that. But I, as this like urban Nepali woman, cannot say I represent somebody from a very rural like Nepal, because my idea of that reality is very different, and I will never be able to understand that, and because I've not lived through that. So let us try, although you are in this larger like feminist movement, inclusive movement, like you're still just representing a partial reality and just a partial like group of like realities and lived experiences. I think we should just be also aware about that.
And yeah, totally. And I just want to pick up what Akriti earlier said. Our experiences are not monolith. So yeah, I totally resonate with that. Having said that, and as having said Akriti's name, I'm gonna come to Akriti. Akriti, what does your ideal Nepali good place look like?
That's a really great question. I think personally, if I didn't have to worry about being Nepali, if I didn't have to worry about being a woman in a immigrant household, and I had to just worry about being the oldest child of an immigrant, that would be great. What I hope for myself and my daughter in the future to have is not being sexualized for the body that she's living in, not being discriminated or discriminated for the spaces that she wants to be, whoever she wants to be, whoever she wants to be with, being equitable in the spaces that she is, whether that be in financially, however she wants to be. So for me, I always think about, I'm living the way I'm living. How do I want my future daughter to live? And if I don't have a future daughter, I'm adopting one because I want a daughter. I don't care. And I think in the society, what I hope to have is, I want women to be able to have a space in that conference room. But what I hope that we eventually get to do is set term dates on these representative in Congress or whatever it might be, because older men representing the fact that I can and cannot have abortion, I don't know. Can you really represent me? Can you really talk about my ideology or whatever I think? Because you've been in that mindset and you grew up in that mindset. So how can you represent me, no matter how much you talk about being an ally? Because you haven't lived in this body. So for me, I really hope that we have term dates set on these public servants, because they don't represent the current society, because they haven't been raised in that. So for me, my ideal society, I'm trying to look at it from the lens of my future daughter, is being able to, and I hope that I also check myself every single time whenever I'm trying to put that gender norm on her. So I really hope that the mothers that are growing up now, put that cultural and the sense of Nepali in our daughter, but bring the ideology of like how I want you to be treated in the community and treat them that way, and hold ourselves accountable to be able to treat our daughter that way. So for me, it's really, I really hope that the ideal society for my daughter is something very different from mine. And I hope that's not just personally, but also in the diaspora of the world, that she sees the same representation she has at home to the outside world as well. Or she's strong enough to stand up and say, my mother and my father did not teach me this, so you can't treat me like shit either. Because if you do, I know that I need to stand up for myself. I know that I can. I know I have the power to. And I really hope to give that confidence that I didn't have.
Thank you. Thank you, Akriti. And so, like I was saying, we're coming towards the end of this episode, and this has been very productive, very enlightening in so many sense discussion. So I want to actually go around and do like a final closing statement from everybody. And if you have any final things to add, say any word of appreciation to other panelists or anything in general, or to the audience, whoever is listening, if you want to say anything. I'm going to start with Bipshika and then go around.
Thank you again, like everyone, for coming together and having this conversation and this space. I really appreciate this. My final words, I guess, just echoing from our conversation today, is that because how our lived realities are so different and so diverse, even though we are part of this larger inclusive movement, we should always be aware about who is in the room and who is not in the room, and whose voices we are representing, or whose voices are being represented and whose voices are not. I think this will definitely take us and the feminist movement also forward. And I'm also like more than happy to engage in further conversations and discussions about this, and also to organize. I know like all of us work in different spaces, and I guess it would have been nice to talk more about the particular work as well, from all the boss women that were here. But I would love to connect with everybody as well, and always happy to engage in further conversations. So thank you again.
Thank you. Definitely connect. And Bipshika, if you want to share where people can find you, if your message resonates with the audience, where they can find you, or if you want to share anything.
So I am available on LinkedIn. My name is Bivishika Bandari, and I would love to engage in any conversations, and also talk about how to be part of their engagements as well. And definitely will connect to all the speakers after this.
Thank you, Bipshika. Shreya, I'm going to come to you next. If you want to do any closing statement and tell us where we can, or where people can find you, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. Neeraj, first off, thank you for inviting me to this panel. It was a great start to my morning. A lot of things to learn from each of these ladies. And I would say we discussed a lot about women, and how situations for women are, how how we want things to change, and conversations surrounding that. And definitely my major takeaway would be things are changing. We need to really amplify these voices, and really increase the like, the amount of conversations that we are having surrounding women and women of Nepal and their rights and the opportunities that they get in general. And so that was really like, it was a really good like good amount of information that that we shared today. And I hope like whoever is listening to this podcast would like get like have gotten an opportunity to learn more about Nepali women from Nepali women themselves, because our narratives, like we discussed earlier today too, right? Our experiences are so diverse, and our narratives, to be very honest, our narratives that exist aren't always true. Like, we aren't always how we are portrayed in the media or in the society. And we are women, we have our own experiences, our own individuality that we want like the society to acknowledge and like let us be who we are. So I just hope people, whoever is listening to this, would take this away, that let everybody be who they want to be. And that is something that I am definitely taking away. Like, a lot of times we are conditioned to believe so many things about ourselves and others, and a lot of times in our subconscious we also like try to be that barrier for others too. Like, we want, we don't want others to like impose their ideologies and their beliefs in us, but we also tend to do that to others a lot of times because we are conditioned to function that way. And like that was my takeaway, and I hope like the audience would also like give it a thought on that.
And
So, yeah.
do you want to share where people can find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, definitely LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn is Shriya Singh Dhakal, and yeah, I believe I have my middle name there. But yeah, like even if you search Shriya Dhakal, I think you should be able to find me.
Thank you, Shreya. Nama, I'm gonna come to you. Any closing statement and where people can find you?
First of all, I think the conversation has been amazing. Like, it was so nice to hear women who I would probably never meet in real life and never had the opportunity to speak to you guys, because we're all over the world, like 4 time zones, like you said. But it's great to see that we're all headed to a similar goalpost or end goal, but we have our own different pathways. We're not all going to walk the same pathway. We some of us will have some humps, harder, difficult journeys in the beginning and middle, but it's nice to see everyone has their own pathway, and we can kind of resonate and kind of be like, oh, similarities in that, but we're all very different human beings, and that is what makes us human and interesting, right? But yeah, it's nice. Like, as I said in the beginning, growing up, didn't really see a lot of boss Nepali women, being in the UK. Seeing you guys, it's just like, it's so empowering. It's just like, oh yes, it's not just me that speaks out, there's loads of other people. And yeah, it's just nice. It's nice seeing Nepali women speak up and do amazing things like you guys are doing in your own field, but also understand that there is a social problem in our culture and our society. As much as our society and culture is amazing and beautiful, there are some dark spots which we need to put some light in, and I love to see that we are doing that. And I mean, I don't know ages, but we, all of us are doing that in our own way, and I love to see it. And you guys can find me. I'm not on LinkedIn. Shocking. I don't know why I'm not on LinkedIn. You guys can find me on Instagram on Hammer Insight. That's where I do all my social kind of talks about how I challenge our Nepali culture. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, Niraj, and okay, thank you for hosting this. But yeah, hopefully we can get to the good place. Hopefully. Yeah.
And this can't be the end, you know, like we're gonna do more of this because more we talk, more we bring these things into focus, and then we can start heading to a resolution, hopefully. So saying that, Sonika, what is your takeaway, closing statement, and where people can find you?
First of all, I mean, thank you. I really thoroughly enjoyed the overall discussion, and Shreya is starting her morning with good energy. I'll be ending my day with good energy, so that's good. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think my takeaway would be, you know, whatever the discussion we had, or the whatever the activism that's going on, uh, let's keep talking about it until and unless you know, something changes, right? And I really loved, I forgot who mentioned about this term, but performative activism. I think Vivishika and also Akriti mentioned about it. I really loved it. I think I see lot of things happening. I mean, it's very superficial, and it's just talking, right? And personally, I'm an action oriented person, so my technical mind just work like flowcharts, right? So you do this, do that, and then you reach that output. So without output, I really don't trust, or I really don't work towards that. So don't do things just for the sake of it. I think how do you say, like, dikhawati roop mein, don't do it. I mean, always have you originally mathako ankha hereko, so always have that eye on your goal and work towards it. And again, do whatever you can. I'm not saying just move the largest rock in the world, right? Just do whatever you can from where you are at, and no matter however small that could be, but then the droplet, again, going back to the things that we discussed, right? If you can be a single droplet, then it can make ocean. So just contribute like that. Don't think that problems are big. Problems are just not big if you work towards it. So that's my takeaway from the overall discussion. And I'm mostly active on Instagram. But my full name Sonika Mananda. You can find me everywhere. I mean, I'm the same everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, love to connect.
Thank you, Sonika. I see Bipshika has a follow-up.
I just wanted to say not just how Arjun was eyeing the eye of the fish, but how Sonika is actually looking at financing women, like being focused like that as well.
Yes, thank you.
Hell yeah. All right, and last but definitely not the least, Akriti, who woke up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning to be here. I appreciate all of you, and Akriti mainly, like, thank you. And yeah, take it away. Any closing statement and where people can find you if they want to connect with you.
So I have to keep changing. I'm sorry, guys. This is my house. So I think one of my biggest takeaway from our conversation is that we have some Nepali big bosses that are doing some amazing things. So just really happy to be in the space with all of you and talking about Nepali women and just women in general. I think, like everyone is saying, you know, if one thing I have to the audience is that don't be shy in what you believe. Stand up for that and stand up for the rights that you feel like people should have. So whatever you can do in that little space that you have, the little, you know, people always think, oh, I don't have that many followers. But like everyone is always saying that if you make difference in one person's life, you're kind of set for your whole life, right? So yeah, for me, it's really about making a difference in one person's life. And then I think I'm good. And I think I've made my accomplishment. And that's my droplet in the ocean. So I think my takeaway is that is just keep being that droplet no matter where I go. And to connect with me, you can do it in several spaces. LinkedIn, Akriti Maharjan. In Instagram, it's Imeaaku, Imeaaku. Or even connect with us in Clubhouse. I think we have all these conversations all the time, all the freaking time. And I think it's just important to just be connected and just keep talking. So thank you again, Nitas, for giving me a wake-up call at 5:30 and just being so proactive about this. And thank you all ladies for just joining. I always love having strong women around me, someone that will debate me, agree with me, or question me, because I think that's how we grow and that's how a mindset grows. So just love the fact that I got to meet you guys, or meet you guys, even if it's via Zoom, but just having you in the spaces that I'm in helps me grow too. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Akriti. And you brought up a good point that getting in these discussion and getting into debates and having these conversation is so important, because first off, like I said, to grow, and also we grow because we only see the picture from our lenses, and if somebody comes in and gives another perspective, sit down and try to see things from their perspective, because the concept of growing is constantly challenging yourself, your perspective, and what you do. So having said that, I want to thank all of the ladies here, and thank you for giving me your time and talking about this. And I might change the title of the episode. I might change it to Boss Ladies of Nepal, because the word boss deservedly so has been thrown around, and I might just do that. Hey, good people. This brings to the end of the discussion we had on Women of Nepal, the Boss Ladies. And I'm sure you can figure out why the title changed from Women of Nepal, what was, is, and will be, to Women of Nepal, the Boss Ladies. Because these ladies are the boss. How great were they? How I genuinely felt honored to be between those ladies and having this discussion. So I want to thank the panelists for sharing their perspective, experiences, their opinions in having this discussion. This was just an amazing discussion, I think. So if you guys enjoyed the discussion, feel free to reach out to the panelists or me, give them feedback, give them kudos, because they deserve it. And also, one quick thing, this is the last podcast or last episode for a minute, because I am taking a break because there is a lot of life change happening in my personal life, obviously. So I will come back with more content, more discussions. Just stay tuned. I don't know when that will be, but after those changes happen and after I get settled in the new environment, I will definitely resume these discussions, because these discussions need to happen, and it will happen more and often. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Again, follow me on social media at My Good Place Pod to be posted to know when the new podcast is coming in. And if you want to be part of the discussion, also DM me at My Good Place Pod. I'm on Twitter or Instagram, or if you prefer emailing, my email is mygoodplace.pod@gmail.com. And until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, love one another, and take care.